Well, good evening, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Conversations from the C-Suite. We will, of course, begin broadcasting promptly at 9:30 p.m. And I just wanted to take a few minutes to ask you to share this out to your network, to your pages and your groups, because we're going to have a great conversation tonight, as we always do, about emotional health, but we want to make sure that we are not talking to ourselves. So I always ask you to tap into the power of three. Please share this out to at least three people, or invite at least three people to join us on the broadcast tonight, because we're going to have a great conversation from the C-suite, and you don't want to miss it, and you want to make sure that you invite someone who could benefit from it. And of course, grab your favorite beverage and get ready to have a great conversation in the C-suite. So I'm going to take a few minutes to share it out, and I'll be back promptly at 9:30 for our another episode of Conversations from the C-Suite, the girlfriend's guide to getting to your C-suite. So hang tight and invite. All right, I'll be back in a little bit. Well, I'm not going to really go anywhere. I'll be right here, but the broadcast will start in a little bit at 9:30. So make sure, tap into the power of three and invite at least three people. Share it to at least three groups, because we want to make sure that we are having a great conversation today. All right. So I'm just going to take a few minutes and do this myself here. I'm going to tap into the power of three as well. All right, well, it is 9:30 p.m. and that means it is time to have conversations from the C-suite. So I am Dr. Stephanie D. Barnes, your host, and it is my pleasure to have you this evening for another episode of Conversations from the C-Suite. And of course, I am the CEO of C-Suite Women's Network, where I help women and a few good men to be the CEOs of their lives, so they can be better CEOs of their businesses. So every woman needs to be the CEO of her life. She needs to have a seat at the table, and not only have her seat, but to create a seat for others. Because there is power when women gather, which is why we're going to have powerful conversations in the C-suite. So Conversations from the C-suite is a power-packed hour that provides women a platform to share their business and career experiences, because life doesn't stop when we leave the office, when we leave our business. Our C-suite is with us all the time. And here in the C-suite, we work to elevate mindsets and to compel women to take actions, because CEOs don't just watch things happen, they make things happen. And the C-suite is that, of course, in a traditional company, a C-suite is where all the decisions are made. And the C-suite of your life is where you make the decision to create the life you desire and deserve. So we want to make sure that we're having powerful conversations, that we're taking powerful actions, so that we can truly be at the head of our table and make the decisions that we desire and deserve. So I am so excited, y'all. We had an awesome, fantastic, fantabulous, fabulous inaugural episode where we asked the question, or talked about, for colored girls or for CEO girls who've had enough when the hustle, or who have considered suicide when the hustle's enough. And y'all have not I'm just so excited. I can hardly talk, but I'm going to get myself together because, a CEO got to be able to present, got to be able to talk. But anyway, we had such a great time, such a great, powerful conversation that we're going to continue this conversation with none other than the awesome CEO, Shelia Rivers. Now, remember, here in the C-suite, we want you to feel something, get motivated. We want you to learn something, be educated. But most of all, we want you to do something. So we're always going to talk about action-oriented strategies because CEOs make things happen. A CEO's power is in her CEO moods. We want you to create circles of influence. We want you to educate and empower yourself for elevation and operationalize what you learn so that you can optimize your outcome. You see, that's your CEO move. All right. So, of course, this is indeed a conversation. So don't just sit there watching. Please join in the conversation. Make sure that you put your comments in the feed. If you have questions, we are going to have an opportunity for you to participate in this conversation. So don't just sit there. You can include your comment or your question in the comment box, and we will ask your questions. I'm going to come back to that later on so you know specifically when we will get to that, because even though Shelia Rivers and I are going to have an awesome conversation, we want you to be a part of it too. So, whether you report to a CEO or you are the CEO of a business, you are the CEO of your life. And so we want to talk about strategies that help you to capitalize your greatest and most powerful asset, and that is the power of choice to create extraordinary outcomes in your business, your life, career, and beyond. So are you ready? Are you ready to enter the C-suite? I know we've got somebody awesome in the lobby who is ready to join the C-suite. And today, we are asking the question, are your feelings funking up your life, right? Are your feelings funking up your life? Because, sometimes being in our feelings can have us feeling the funk. And we want to explore the self-discovery of being emotionally healthy. Because our emotions can break us or make us as CEOs. And one of the great things about women in particular, because we tend to be very in touch with our emotions, is it makes us great nurturers, which makes us great transformational leaders. But when you all in your feelings and you're unable to deal with them in a healthy way, and that has a whole spectrum, that's what we're going to talk about tonight, it can work against you and get you off of your path to the C-suite. So that's what we want to talk about tonight on this episode of Conversations from the C-suite. So I'm going to bring up my girl, Shelia Rivers, from the lobby so that she can join us. And I hope you got your favorite beverage, because remember, this is a conversation. You always have my wine. So whatever your beverage is, I do hope that you join us. And I'm going to make sure I have her name up here correctly. All right, so we are going to bring Shelia to the stage. Hello, Shelia. How you doing, girl?
Amazing. It's amazing Monday. We're doing great. We are doing great.
All right, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Well, hopefully y'all that are on here now had a chance to hear her last week. And I will say, if you didn't get a chance to see last week's episode, you can always go to www.csuitewomen.tv. So csuitewomen.tv. That's where you can catch the replays if you don't get a chance to catch them on Facebook Live and you want to go back and listen to them, because we had a powerhouse conversation last week on last episode. And I just want to reintroduce to some, introduce to others, none other than Shelia Rivers. She is a licensed certified social worker, and she is a powerhouse CEO in her own right. The mother of 5 children. She homeschooled them. I think, of all the things she's done, that's the thing I'm the most impressed with, because I don't know, me and my children wouldn't make it. But she has her own business. She is a psychotherapist and is currently pursuing her PhD. So if you ever want to see how it's done, our guest tonight is a living example. because she's doing a lot of things that many of us want to do, many of us are doing, and it's all about making those CEO moves. And so I am so glad to have you here tonight, Sheila. Welcome to the C-suite.
Amazing. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to laugh. So, we're ready to get started. We don't want to waste any time.
Yes. Well, we know we always want to start out with the who, the what, and the why. And of course, I've shared a little bit through your bio, but tell us, who is the real Shelia Rivers? Who are you? What do you really do? And why do you make CEO moves?
Again, I am Dr. Stephanie Barnes actually introduced me very well. Thank you so very much. And I am a licensed certified social worker. I also have a master's in public health. Presently working on my doctorate degree in social work through Tulane University. So I am right now working toward the clinical project, and the power of empowerment is the title of the clinical project that I'll be working on as a publication. So what we do, I am the CEO of Rivers Psychotherapy Services, located here in Gulfport, 2218 18th Street, Gulfport, Mississippi. And I have recently decided to go full time, as in a matter of 18 months, I have grown so much so that I don't even have enough time to work another job. We are here full time. In fact, we just had a 2-hour meeting with the staff before I came on here, planning for 2019, and to be in business for 18 months in private practice. We are looking at projecting $1 million of revenue for 2019. We're gonna speak it, we're gonna see it, we're gonna plan it. We
Cheers to that. To that, yes. And and I hope that you hear what she's saying. We're going to get into our topic, but it's really important you hear what she's saying. She's truly making CEO moves, y'all. She took the leap, but she didn't just walk out on faith without any preparation. She did the work. She has put in the time, and she is continuously developing strategies for where she's going forward. And that's what CEOs do. So I just always want to point that out, because, a lot of times we don't really give ourselves credit for the CEO moves that we make. And Sheila, if nobody else has told you, girl, you are making CEO moves. All right. So with that, let's get into our topic for tonight.
Yes.
We want to talk about emotional health. On the last episode, we really dove into, mental wellness, mental health, and the things that we have to do to keep ourselves healthy. And so, a lot of times when we think about health, we get physical health, we get heart health, we get, all the different things that are associated with, our physical bodies. But a lot of times we overlook those aspects that aren't completely tangible, our mental wealth. And now tonight we're talking about our emotional health. So if you wouldn't mind, just start out by telling us, what the heck is that? What is emotional health?
Emotional health is being able to balance all of those in one. Okay, because our emotional health affects everything. Mm-hmm. It affects our mind, our body, our soul, our finance. So emotional health is kind of the glue that holds all of that together. So the goal is to harmonize your state of being so you can effortlessly create the life that you want with emotional health. Mm-hmm. So if your emotional health is stable, there's a better chance or probability that other areas in your life are stable. So if I'm not emotionally stressed, then I may not tend to eat as much. Mm-hmm. Okay, I can focus on being healthy in my body if that stress is not there. Usually, if some of us are stress eaters. Some of us, if I'm emotionally healthy, then depression is not present or anxiety is not present. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the emotional health kind of holds all of that together. That's the glue for us that kind of holds our holistic well-being together.
Okay. And I always think about, of course, I know how to work out my body if I want to maintain my physical health. I can do some exercise. I can alter my diet, maybe cut back on the wine. But anyway, there
Not.
or not. It's quite well, not quite obvious, but it's fairly easy for us to understand the concept of, say, working out your body to improve your physical health. How do you work out your emotions? I mean, how do you do that to maintain emotional health? How does that work?
Regulating your emotions. I want to talk about the neurological piece of this just a little bit on our automatic nervous system, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight that we have sometimes that's there. And because if we have been under so much stress for a long period of time, and I'm going to try and make this kind of elementary, that
break it down for us. Break it down,
that fight or flight gets stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And so our body tends to respond to different things based on what our norm is. So if our norm is always high stress, high pressure, we're always on the go, we're not sleeping, we're not taking care of ourselves, then that fight or flight gets stuck on always being, that's our norm stress level. So whereas, being calm, relaxing, I was having a problem with the lighting in here. I said, we don't even have adequate lighting because everything we do in here is by lamps.
Uh-huh.
Calming atmosphere that even when we're here at work in the office, or when someone walks in, we want to create an emotional state of some kind of zen or just a deep sigh when you walk in the door to say, so how many times in your day do you have that sense of peace, of emotional health, where there's a heavy sigh and you're at peace with yourself? You can always see a positive versus a negative. We're going to get to talk a little bit more about cognitive distortions with that emotional health. But that fight or flight plays a huge part in our emotional health. And how do we control that? How do we control that piece? And recognizing that where we are sometimes is dysfunction that has, again, we go back to that chaos. It's comfortable being with that unhealthy state of being. Right. So fight or flight would be my first thing. Cognitive distortions would be second. That's kind of the way we think, and dysfunctional thought process that creates that emotion. Mind chatter, that's what I call that negative self-talk. That creates an emotional out of well-being, because what you tell yourself, then that's what you become. That's what you emotionally start to process for yourself. So being emotionally healthy consists of several different components. There's not one piece. Like in diet, if you diet and exercise to lose weight, right? There's so many different components to emotional health. There's a physiological side, also, and a thought process piece that goes with it. And so we'll talk a little bit more about these different pieces, especially that cognitive distortion piece.
Okay, because when you think about, because when you were talking about your office, for example, and how, because you're creating this atmosphere of zen, this atmosphere of calmness, because obviously if you're going to your therapist's office, you want it to be a place where you feel relaxed, where you feel good, where you feel calm. But how, in our daily lives, it's how do we create an environment that is going to help us to cultivate emotional health, a good emotional health, healthy emotional health?
Okay. And this is practice that I'm going to be transparent again. This is what I had to do is, one, I disconnect First thing, disconnect your environment. You got to clear your environment of dysfunctional people. Dysfunctional things, chaos. If I walk into my house and there's dishes in the sink, that doesn't necessarily send me into a tailspin, but to walk into your home and see that things are in place. So when things are not in place, if I got clothes on the floor, I got 4 or 5 pair of shoes in the floor, and I'm kind of just running in, changing and showering and eating and going, then it doesn't create what I see in my environment is not relaxing and calming. So what I had to do was create that calming atmosphere, creating that regimen, candles that smell well. The entire office, my house, eucalyptus stress candles. I wish I could reach around here and get one of those. So Bath and Body Works, they just had them on sale for $10. The three wick candles, $10. Y'all, I'm gonna tell you, I bought 15.
Yeah.
I have to create the environment. Okay. Yeah. So create the environment, ladies. Clean sheets, a clean pillowcase, smells. Every sense that you have needs to be engaged in your calming environment. The feel of your fuzzy blankets. There are blankets all over my house. There are blankets here in the office. So when someone comes in and they're like, oh my gosh, I just need a blanket, I need a cup of coffee. Create the environment. The music you listen to.
Yeah.
Is it, are we thug rapping it out? I mean, or are we listening to something calm and jazzy? Yeah. What are you feeding your mind? What do you feed your mind? What is the one positive book that you have on your nightstand right now that you feed your mind with, other than the Bible? Other than the Bible, what else do you have on your nightstand right now that you're reading? Is there anything positive that you're reading? What do you see first thing in the morning? Is there something positive that you read or see first thing in the morning? Do you watch the news first thing in the morning? That's a no-no. Do you watch the news right before you go to bed? That's a lot of people's regimen is watching the news. The news has nothing positive. It provokes anxiety. There's always not a whole lot of things that are positive there. So what do you feed your mind and emotions? Yeah. What are your senses seeing? What do you smell in the morning? What do you see during the day? What kind of people are you connected to throughout that time? So you have to do a total census of your entire environment that you are in to create that calming environment. Right. Everything down to the soap you bathe with. What does it smell like in the morning? Is it something fresh? Or do you even pay attention to those things? Is there something positive written in your mirror? Again, you know what I got written in my mirror.
I do know what you have on your mirror. She has written on her mirror, I am a CEO.
I am a CEO. That has been there for months. Yeah. Since January, I know. Yeah. But I am a CEO. Your mind is your power. So you must, it is a must. In order to be an emotionally healthy person, you must create the environment for emotional health, to be emotionally healthy. And that takes everything around you. Yeah. Everything.
Yeah. And, when you were talking about, creating that environment, those environments that we have control over, our houses, our homes, our bedrooms, our offices, our workspaces, perhaps, especially those that are in our home, we have control of them, and it's easier to be able to decide, what kind of environment we're going to have. But most of the time, unless you work from home, like I work from home. So, everything, unless I'm working with the client or speaking or traveling, it's in my own space. I have control over it. But for those of us, who are out there in the world, we're in the workplace, even if we own our own business, we're dealing with the public, we may be still a part-timepreneur. We're working in our business, but we're working for someone else, or we're still, we're working in an office environment. How do we create an environment that's healthy for us emotionally when it's not, quote, our space? It's not something that we own and we have complete control over.
So with that, I have to say, that has to be found within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it's a workspace, okay, let's just say you don't own that workspace, there are still things that you can do. Sticky notes just on the corner of your computer to remind yourself daily that you are a CEO.
Mm-hmm.
You are a VIP member, a C-suite.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever it takes, it could just be little subtle things.
Mm-hmm.
You get a break. Go outside. Go outside. Don't sit at your desk. Don't go to the break room. Go outside and inhale some fresh air. Breathing exercises. I know, people think, oh, that's so elementary just to breathe, but just to breathe. And I won't even get into that's a whole nother lesson I could teach on is just breathing, inhaling and exhaling. Does wonders for your body and internal organs, for your brain reset, needing that oxygen. Go outside and just take a walk down the sidewalk if you have to.
Mm-hmm.
Even like the small things, you can still create that atmosphere when that space is still not yours. Yeah. Coffee, your favorite beverage, the warmth of the cup that comes from that in the morning time. If you're able to maybe play some music with maybe your headphones on, create something that is still, you still have control over you and what you do in that environment. Yeah. I'm not trying to get nobody fired now. So
I know. Y'all please don't go back to work tomorrow and say Sheila and Stephanie told me that I need to bring in all these candles. I need to move all this stuff, But one of the things that I hope you take away from this is, we're talking about being a CEO, right? And that's just not some fancy title that I'm using just because it sounds cool. I really want you and us to get into the habit of thinking about being able to execute. Chief Executive Officer, all about our actions and being able to make decisions. And what I hope you take away from what Sheila has just shared with us is this, even though it may not be your space, right? It may not be your office per se, and there are other people that are, there along with you, whether or not you allow it to determine your peace of mind truly is a decision. And emotional health, and I'm just talking about me, because I remember the time, when I was just really unhappy, unhealthy, and just had a real stank attitude. I just call myself, I just had a real stank attitude about things. And I remember sitting in an office meeting, and this time I literally was in the C-suite. So I had the position, I had the salary, I had all the things, right, that should have made me happy, but I was unhappy as all get out. And I remember, sitting in this office environment, sitting at the table, and I'm sitting there looking stank, mad. If it wouldn't have gotten me fired, I probably would have been cussing in the meeting and everything. But I looked around at all of my coworkers, and they were grinning and having a good time and happy. And here I was sitting there looking stank, right? And so that was an aha moment for me that, I am allowing these people or this situation or these external things to affect me emotionally, because I don't have to like everybody or like everything that's going on around for me to decide that I'm going to commit to my emotional health. So, that's something that we as CEOs of our lives have to commit to doing. And that is making the decision to create the environment, whether we can literally create it or not, because, it begins with us. And you talked, Sheila, briefly you mentioned about affirmations and, the importance of seeing words. Because like, y'all can't really see this. So like what I have, it's got cuss words on it because it's my personal thing. But, if y'all don't know about it, I kind of cuss, like I say, I'm real smart, but, I got potty mouth. But anyway, what I did, like this is, you can't read it. Hopefully you can't. But it has kind of what I need to do every day to be a millionaire. And it's things that I need to remind myself about, actions that I need to take. And one of the things on there is about, making decisions that align with what it is I say I want to do. Now I'm real fancy, I always got to have, I got a logo and all kind of stuff. It doesn't have to be that. But I know when I had my office, even every office I've ever had, I would always make little Bible verses, if it was a scripture or just sayings or quotes, and we'll put them up on my bulletin board so that I could remind myself of the thoughts that I needed to hear. So just real quickly, what do affirmations really do from a therapist perspective? Just how important are those?
Well, I that is one of my biggest things that I do recommend in therapy. So I want to back up just a little bit before I get into affirmations. When we talk about being in control of our environment, you have to also think about, are you going to relinquish that power? Is that small thing going to be that powerful to control you? Are you going to allow that situation to truly control? If so, then I don't know how many people want to give up that kind of power,
right,
to a particular situation to control how they behave and act. Well, I'm gonna tell them about themselves. No.
Yeah.
No. So anyway,
you mean we can't tell them about themselves? Come on now. Come on. Let me tell them about themselves. Come on.
Not when it takes away from who you are and it causes distress in your emotional health. No.
Right.
No. Now, if you are defending yourself in something, that's a totally different story. I have to, that's a totally different story. So, okay. But what I want to talk about, positive affirmations, let's get back to that. My positive affirmation, I'm gonna tell you a little story. I took a lot of people don't know this about me, but I took my LCSW exam 3 times. I took it 3 times. One time I missed it by 3 points. No, the first time I missed it by 7 points. The next time I missed it by 3 points. The third time I passed it. It was so profound to me. My positive affirmation during that time was a Bible verse. And it still is. So much so that, and I'm chicken to go and get it done, was I wanted it tattooed on my left arm because I'm right-handed. So anytime I would get nervous, no one would ever see it, but it would be in the inside of my arm. And it was, God is with her, she will not fail.
Yes.
Psalm 46:5. And so I constantly told myself, no matter what the circumstance is, I still have not failed. I had to retake that test over and over again in order to assure that in this place that I'm in now, I know what I know. And when I open my mouth, it prepared me to be as proficient as I possibly could in knowing the theory and knowing why I'm doing what I'm doing and making good clinical decisions. And I think the pursuit that I had in studying for that test, days in and days out, flashcards. If I was at a doctor's office, I stopped at a red light, I was flipping through cards, reading different definitions. I just absolutely became a fanatic and absorbed all of that information. Nobody can beat me in ethics. I can quote the code of ethics, social work code of ethics, like the Lord's Prayer in my life. So, but I had to know that information in order to pass that test. So now knowing all of that information has opened up so many doors for me that now I have received the license to do supervision in the state of Mississippi for social workers. And one of the main things is how to pass that test.
And I just want to say, first of all, one of the great lessons that a CEO must learn, that Shelia has just laid it all out there for us. And I hope you really take away the power of this. She ain't shame. And yes, I can speak the King's English. Okay. But I just have to say it like that. She ain't shame about sharing the
Right.
fact that she didn't get to her goal the first time and she didn't get to it the second time. She got to it on the third time. But here's the thing, she got to it. And as a CEO, as the CEO of your life, you know, we have to embrace that failures truly aren't failures. She, quote, failed the test. Well, she didn't really fail it. She just didn't pass it by 7 points. Okay. All right. And somebody got the license the day she didn't because they passed it by 1 point. All right. Does
Right.
she know any less? Do they know any more? No, they just, it's all about performance on that day. And that's something that we have to, that is an important part of our emotional health because you have to be emotionally strong to be able to share what some may perceive as a failure and try to judge you against it. But what she has done is propel that, the fact that she had to go through it in the way that she did, not only propelled her to actually get the license, but because of what she learned along the way, it elevated her to be able to do something even greater. Because if she'd passed it the first time, you know, she may not have been given the opportunity that she has now because of, you know, she didn't get a chance to learn the lessons that she did along the way. So that's something that I just really, really, really want to point out, that as CEOs, first of all, we shouldn't be shamed, okay? Because there's power in our stories and there's power in being able to dust yourself off and try again. Okay, so I'm gonna put a pin in that for a moment because it's time for a word from our sponsor. So I just want to remind you that today's episode of Conversations from the C-Suite was brought to you by C-Suite Women's Academy, where women go to learn to be the CEOs of your life. It is for aspiring, emerging, and established leaders who want to move to the head of their table. For more information, please go to www.csuitewomensacademy.com. Again, that's csuitewomensacademy.com. And if you're interested in being a sponsor for Conversations from the C-Suite, please send an email with the subject line CSS sponsorship to Stephanie at drstephaniedbarnes.com. So I know that we've got some awesome listeners out there. I see y'all out there. I see you, boo. So I want to just take a moment to appreciate all the guests who have joined us. And I see a couple of questions in there, and I encourage you, keep them coming. We're going to make sure that we answer those questions. I just want to give a shout out to Monique Cooks Johnson. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We've got Katie Hargraves Jenkins. Thank you so much for coming into the conversation in the C-Suite. Erica Fairley Turner, thank you so much. And she says, I seek peace in all that I do. And that's right. Emotional health is about seeking peace. And I also want to give a shout out to Donnie Lewis, who has joined us tonight. And then I got to make sure I can see it here. Robin Brozick. So thank you so much for joining. I know there's some others out there. You may not be popping up there in the feed, but we just appreciate you. And get somebody else to join the conversation, because there's power when women gather, and there's power in our stories and powers in our conversation. And I do want to remind you, if you have questions, we're going to get to your question, Donnie. I see that there. But if you have questions, please put them in the feed and we'll give you an opportunity to join the conversation. So now I want to switch hats a little bit and, and talk about something that I think can be a little controversial sometimes for people. It can be also something that can be a little heart-wrenching for people. And that is, sometimes in order to improve our emotional health, we have to detox from some people. And you touched on this earlier. But it's hard sometimes, because sometimes it's folks we love, sometimes it's folks we think good to us. They may be good in some ways, but they really ain't. But but how do we really broach this important step of detoxing ourselves from stinking people? And I know the word technically is stinking, but they stinking in their attitude, they stinking up your space, and they just stinking things up. So when you got stinking folks around you that are your friends, people, and they may be your family members, you may be sleeping in the bed next to them some nights, or every night, what do you do in order to detox yourself from the unhealthy relationships that are costing you your emotional health.
Wow. First, I want to say everything good to you ain't good for you. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. I'm a drink to that. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, everything good to you ain't good for you. All right, that's yes, I can speak the King's English also, but we're gonna make it real plain.
Sometimes I break it
So
down.
I want yes, being disconnecting. Wow, that is tough, especially when your heart is attached to it. Sometimes we may have to. I had a question from someone saying about their son was on drugs and having a hard time, and we keep digging him out of these situations, so forth and so on. And so what do I do with that? What do I do with that? So the next question I ask them is, what do you want? And usually people will come back with stuff like, well, I just want to be happy. Well, hell, being happy because I get my coffee in the morning and I'm happy.
Yeah.
You're gonna give me more details as a therapist than I just want to be happy. Well, I want to see him in a healthy place. Okay, this is what you want. What does he want for himself? You can want it all you want to. And if he does not want it, or they don't want to make changes in their life that are affecting you, you need to be the one to evaluate what is it that you want.
Yeah.
To be happy is not an answer.
Yeah. Okay? Like my teacher, my 10th grade teacher used to say, you need to be Pacific.
You need to be Pacific. You need to be Pacific. You got to be. In order to get what you want. And then are you willing to make those changes in order to get what you want? I'm a firm believer.
Yeah, I want you to put a pin in that right there before you move on. Do y'all hear the question that she just asked? Are you really willing to take the actions to make it happen? Because I think that's why a lot of us stay stuck in emotionally unhealthy situations is we say we want to be happy. We say we want peace in our lives, but our actions don't line up to it because we continue to do the same thing. It's about insanity. Do the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, when you get comfortable in chaos, I love that. That's the term Sheila has introduced us, getting comfortable in chaos. Well, when you're comfortable in chaos, it takes action on your parts. And that's what being the CEO of your life truly means, is not to just make the decision about what it is that you want, but make the decision to take the action that is required to get what you want. So I do apologize for stopping you, but that was just such a critical point because, it's all about taking those actions, and you can be aspirational, but it's not the C.E.O., the chief aspirational officer. It's the chief exploration officer. You be aspirational, you're gonna be out on your, okay, I won't say. But anyway, you're gonna be ass out. So the thing is that you really gotta focus on that execution, actually doing something. So I take the pen out. Go on.
Yeah. So, and even in therapy, so I asked the question, what do you want? All right. And are you willing to make the changes? And so then we start what kind of is a treatment plan or a plan of action to get what you want. So you start as a CEO, you start to build your own strategic plan.
Yes.
And if you own a business of any sort, you have a business plan or you have a strategic plan in place that guides, that has limits, it has a step-by-step, it defines what it is, where you're going and how you're going to get there. So we do that in therapy. We construct a plan to say, are you willing to make those changes? And what do those changes look like for you? So to say I just want to be happy, that ain't gonna happen.
That's aspirational.
That aspiration, exactly. And it's kind of like going in Walmart without a list.
Oh Lord, you're gonna lose all your money.
If you can't, if your answer is I just want to be happy, then that's like going in Walmart without a list. You go in Walmart, you're supposed to be getting eggs, milk, bread, and some socks, which is on the other side of the store. So you go and you might get some eggs, and then you turn down another aisle, and now you end up over in the fishing aisle, and they had some fishing lures on sale that you was gonna get, but you don't even fish.
Yeah.
you get stuff that's not even defined on your list. So to say I just want to be happy, that you're gonna end up with some stuff that you really don't want. You fishing, you be like, well, I'm gonna try some fishing. That's not in your plan. That's not what you went to Walmart for. So be very specific. Be very specific about what you want, and are you willing to make the changes. Another thing is be careful what you ask for. Be careful what you ask for in your emotional healthiness. I want to go back to the power and the story, and I have learned that my success as being a CEO, there is power in my story. And I was one that was ashamed to share the story, but I will forever be grateful to two women that I met at Success Women's Conference, Dr. Stephanie Barnes here tonight and Cheryl Wood, who taught me that there is power in the story. There is power in being emotionally healthy, in making those changes and implementing those changes, stepping out away from chaotic people, I don't watch TV. It's not chaotic for me, but I just make a choice that there's certain things that I want, and that distracts my time. A lot of times I can't be on Facebook all the time. That takes away from my time and what it is that I want. So that's part of my what do I want, and am I willing to make the changes? I don't have to watch television. What I do need is, my goal for 2019 is that $1 million. That's what we do.
Yes, ma'am.
So there's certain things that you have to do in order to get to that point. So make those changes. Don't be afraid to make those changes. Don't be afraid to step out on it. Don't be afraid to come to grips with your own truth, to say, I just got some stuff that I am confused about. It's dysfunctional. My life is crazy. I need to be able to have someone help me figure this stuff out. Not your girlfriends that, you can go and talk to them about different things as a support system, but to help you through those true dysfunctional, emotional, you need a third party on the outside that kind of doesn't know anything about you. And you go in there and just be truly transparent and open. Again, that was one of my healing points too in being emotionally healthy was I had an awful breakup. It was so awful. I had poured everything into this, everything that's good to you ain't good for you. Okay. He was one of them.
Hashtag everything is good to you ain't good for you. Okay, go on.
Absolutely. Let me take that back. I gave him the power that allowed that situation to absolutely break me. But the beautiful thing about being broken is you get to put the pieces back together the way you want them together. So I sought professional help, and she has become not only an amazing colleague of mine, but she is an outstanding friend now. But I had to get to the lowest point of the low with feeling, back to our last session of feeling suicidal in our CEO life, but feeling suicidal and not almost losing my house and all kinds of stuff that that really brought me to grips with the fact that I got to make some changes.
Mm-hmm. And you know,
so
and
I had.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say I had to bear my ugly truths.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And that's something, you know, as the CEO of your life, you have to do. Because if you think about any disaster that's ever happened with a company, BP oil spill, Exxon Mobil, you know, any company, who has to go before the press and talk about it? The CEO. They don't really get the option of hiding behind their desk and sending out the communications person. Sometimes they will, but ultimately the buck stops with the CEO. And that's something that is really important for you to understand, is that the only person, well, the one person who is responsible for your emotional health is you as a CEO of your life. And that in order for you to be able to fix it, you've got to face it. Because a saying that I always love, you cannot fix what you will not face. You cannot fix what you will not face. And as the CEO of your life, sometimes you just have to be honest and say, I am broken in this area. I am broken. And as Shelia mentioned, that you're broken just means that there is something to be fixed, something to be redeemed, and to be restored. Now, I want to make sure that we get to our questions from the audience. So as CEOs, you have to take yourself off mute because we want to hear from you. So we are going to take some guest questions. And we had one person, Donnie, who was brave to put a question in the feed. So I'm going to read that question to you, Dr. Shelia. I said, look at that. I called it into existence. Shelia, yeah, she will be Dr. Shelia Rivers. Yes, ma'am. But the question that Donnie has for us is, how many people have truly experienced the peace that you speak of, that we've been talking about, this emotional health? How many people truly experience it? And how do you get it? Great question.
Wow. The ultimate, when I think of true self, I think of the Maslow hierarchy of needs. And that's that top layer that we speak of there. So there are few that see it to 100%. Okay. Because I think we all truly work on ourselves, working on dysfunctional things, dysfunctional thought processes, that we to be 100% all knowing, all being, all peaceful all the time. We'd have to be a monk, I think, to be in that very present place. But we have things that in our environment that affect us all the time. So to say 100%, I don't have a number, Donnie, but there are several people that reach a level of peace within themselves, of being peaceful or learning tools in order to stay in a peaceful place. So my kids call my alter ego Rachel. Rachel don't come out no more.
Oh goodness!
So we learn to keep our Rachels under control. She's buried, but you have to. We learn skills in place to create those environments. There are just certain things that I just won't allow in my environment. Dysfunctional, chaotic people. If I see your life is always chaotic, I can't really stay on the phone with you because you disrupt my spirit. Okay.
Yes.
If it's not professional, because especially people that are connected to me personally, I have a certain pull in my heart to want to say, you need some therapy. And that's not always accepting when there's folks that you love that won't get that help. So I have to disconnect. I have to disconnect, or I set some very good boundaries. It is vitally important. It's setting boundaries with dysfunctional people or dysfunctional environments where you just can't do and can't. Certain things you just can't do and go all of everywhere. So Getting to that place, Donnie, is a practice every day. You practice that every day. From the minute I wake up in the morning, there's something positive that I read. There's something positive that I see when I'm brushing my teeth in the mirror. Y'all know I'm CEO. I'm CEO. Another one, I'm on the journey of I've hired a trainer. I'm trying to work on weight. I said this morning I had a quick little Facebook post. I'm on team. I'm tired of being fat. That is not what you see in me, but fat is what I see in myself. Okay, so that doesn't discount, or I'm not down in myself or anything like that. But I need to be in a healthier place. We have a workshop that says, "Girl, get your life together." Part of that is mind, body, soul, finance. I can't tell people as a leader that you need to live healthier, in your body. And here I am as the leader of this, and I don't demonstrate those same skills. So how many people experience this true experience of peace you speak of? 100% of the time, you're not going to always be in a peaceful place. But I do believe that 100% of the time, you can always practice attempting to be in that place.
Yeah.
Okay. And how do we get it? Well, that's again, that was kind of, I think we reiterate that in the previous discussion, is everything in your being, what you see, your senses pick up everything around you, which plays into your emotional. So if there's a bear behind you, you see the bear, you hear the bear, you automatically respond, I'm going to run, or I'm going to fight the bear, or I'm going to freeze.
Right.
Okay. But if you never saw the bear and he laying on the side and he never growled, that doesn't play into your senses. You just kind of keep walking through like you on a regular hike. You didn't see him. You didn't hear it. He's not a threat. Creating that personal, that space also is the same way. Everything you see, hear, feel, taste creates this positive, peaceful environment. So I would say everything that you can touch in your senses, those are the things that you need to touch into in your life to create that environment.
Yeah, and I think the ultimate thing to take away here for all of us is that it is a choice. It is a choice. If we have to figure out how do we create that peace, how do we maintain it, and to really be committed to seeing that when it is beginning to elude us, when things are beginning to erode it, for us again to take action, because it's not something that I've appreciated even from my own experiences. I have a peace in my life now because I choose to be peaceful. I choose to do things like I run, I do Tai Chi, I breathe, I meditate, I pray, and I have to plead the blood of Jesus over a lot of folks so I don't stab them in the neck. I'm not really going to stab them in the neck. That's metaphorical. But but
Rachel.
Right. So, but it's all about our choices. And we can choose to allow life, people, situations to erode our emotional health, or we can choose to be committed to maintaining it and to improving it and to having it be what we deserve. This isn't even so much about what you should have, but it's just about what you deserve. So, of course, we've talked a lot and gotten into some really great things and always really great conversation. And we're getting to the end of our hour because this is a power-packed hour. Although this is something we could talk about for hours. And remember, as we did last time, we will continue the conversation. So if you think of a question, whether you're watching it live or watching it on the replay, make sure you put your question in the feed and we'll go back through there and answer them for you. But Sheila, I just want to again say thank you so much for being on the show tonight. And of course, I know that our guests love you and want to continue to keep in contact with you and learn about you. So how is there any parting thoughts that you want to share for one? And then how can people get in contact with you?
Create the environment. And you have to work at creating the environment. This isn't something that just kind of comes overnight. You have to work at creating the environment, seeking those opportunities to change your environment, to obtain what it is you want.
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to make the sacrifices to make those changes? Okay. To get in contact with me, it's email address. You can go Shelia, and it's SHELIA .Rivers, RIVERS, at riverspsychotherapy.com, or you can reach us at 707-728-5131. You can also go to our Facebook page at River Psychotherapy Services. I'm also on Facebook as Shelia the Therapist. And we also have a webpage, www.riverpsychotherapyservices.com. So if you need to, you can't get us through all of that.
Yeah, no, right. That's right. But remember, it's Shelia Rivers at Rivers Psychotherapy. And Sheila, again, I just want to thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. I'm always even more enlightened. And, you know, even though this is the conversation that we're having with everybody, it's always helpful to me. So thank you so much for joining me in the C-suite. And as always, love you, girl. You are fabulous. You are a CEO. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you. All right, we'll see you next time. All right, so everybody, I just want to thank y'all so much for joining us on this episode of Conversations from the C-Suite, Girlfriend's Guide to the C-Suite Life. And of course, this episode was brought to you by C-Suite Women's Academy, where aspiring, emerging, and established leaders who want to create a framework for a successful career go to be the CEOs of their lives. And you can get more information at csuitewomen'sacademy.com. So we want to just thank you so much for joining us here in the C-Suite, where women create the lives, careers, and businesses they desire and deserve. But this is more than just talk. It's conversations from the C-Suite. We want to equip women to make CEO moves. So especially tonight, making that CEO move, we want you to feel something, be motivated. Learn something, be educated, but most of all, do something, take action. So after tonight, make some CEO moves, create your circles of influence. Make sure that you are around other CEOs or people who want to be CEOs. Your circles of influence truly influence your life. And as we talked about tonight, your emotional health. We want you to educate and empower yourself to elevation and operationalize what you learned. Take action on what you've learned tonight and do something with it. Otherwise, you've just sat here and talked and maybe had a few adult beverages. But remember, make sure that you take action. Until next time, I just want to thank you so much for joining us here at Conversations from the C-Suite. And I am your hostess with the mostest, Dr. Stephanie D. Barnes. And I just want to thank you so much for being here. And if you didn't get your questions answered or you have some questions later, please put them in the feed. We will get back to them certainly as soon as we can. And you can hang around for a little bit because we'll be doing a little closeout and we'll make sure that we comment. But remember, the power is not in the conversation, but in your CEO moves. Don't just talk about it, be about it. Don't wait. Wait broke the scale. Now is the best time to do what you need to do, that you know what needs to be done, because your life is the product of your choices. So choose to be the CEO of your life. Until next time,